The answer is yes. In fact, most of the people who get out of the cave, remember it's several, will take a turn at being philosopher, king, or queen, but they will not stay there. Why?
They don't want to.
Why not?
They want to go back to the cave.
Because what do they like instead? Philosophy means?
True.
Good guess, but no. Philosophia.
Knowledge?
Lover, philo, lover of.
Yourself.
Sophia, wisdom. Wisdom. If you know anybody named Sophia, she's named Wisdom. That's what the name Sophia means. A lover of wisdom. They don't love power. They don't love strength. They don't love any of those things. They love knowing. They love the right answer. So they will know that they should go back and be the king, queen for a while, but you can't. It would be mean and wrong to do that to them for very long. So you make them take their turn, and they won't abuse it, he thought, because they love wisdom so much that they've got no need for greed and power and glory and the things that make the rest of us want it. And then you let them go back and contemplate beauty or truth or whatever they want to contemplate.
So Socrates would say that some of the rulers today who are tyrants are not out of the cave because they're abusing their power?
Correct. If you're abusing your power, you by definition aren't as good a ruler as you can or should be, and you're not out of the cave. Yes?
They don't want to say philosopher kings because they don't.
They want to stay philosophers, not kings. Does that help?
Yes.
Did you have a hand up over here?
Oh, I was going to ask something.
Okay. You should go back over your notes and questions and look at what we should teach, subjects that he thinks are useful. What the goal of government is. What does he say the goal of government is? Primary goal of government. That's a good guess, but that's wrong. In fact, most people we want to leave in the cave, because if you drag them out of the cave, they'll just be unhappy. Keep the people happy. That's the job of government. Safe and happy. Theoretically, if you're not one, you're not going to be the other. Okay, what is the master science that controls all others for him? Dialectic. How is dialectic different than rhetoric?
It's asking questions.
Asking questions.
Good. Say that again. That's exactly the right answer. That's the right way to phrase it too.
It's asking questions, not telling answers.
Right. It's seeking, not telling. Rhetoric is telling. Rhetoric is the person who speaks well, convincing you just because they speak well. What, Socrates, the one thing we should know, the phrase? Thank you.
What is it?
Know thyself.
What is? Oh my gosh! Who said I see, therefore
I think, therefore I am. That's Descartes. René Descartes, 17th century, about 1620. Same thing. He read his Plato. Ode on a Grecian Urn. Who wrote it?
Keats.
When did Keats live?
the romantic period?
When is that?
Late 1800s.
About right at the beginning of the 19th century. Roughly 1780 to roughly 1850. Keats is kind of right in the heart of that. Poems about 1820. How did he die?
Tuberculosis.
I sang you a song. Tuberculosis, right. He coughed up his lungs. Bloody. Well done. Good. Where? Rome. Not that any of those things really matter, but it's the kind of crap that I might throw on the test. Does Keats agree that dialectic is the path to truth?
No.
What is the path to truth for him?
Beauty.
How do we access that which is beautiful?
In relationships and like being around other people. All the stuff he talks about is like people together.
He does. So our word would not be dialectic, or reason, but what?
Interaction or
Love.
community.
Love is a kind of what?
Emotion.
Emotion. That's what I'm looking for. Thank you.
So you access
True.
what is beautiful by
Through your emotional truth. I just know it's true. Even if you can't defend it. And you frequently can't. See, then if I were to ask a short answer question, I'd be like, is he right?
But isn't that just
Discuss.
And that's short.
That would be a short answer. Yeah, right. Well, I can only read so much. Okay, so you should be able to remember what's on the urn. Describe it. Where is it, by the way? Where is the actual urn?
It didn't
Nowhere. Oh, see, that's the kind of trick question I would ask. There isn't an urn. Right? Okay.
I thought it would be like a combination of a few from the British Museum, though, right?
Yeah, see, there you go. Yeah, you paying attention.
That we say he was probably looking at several.
Probably in the British Museum, one of the world's great museums.
And that's where the
It-
recreation is.
Yes, that is where the recreation is. If you are to look at, if you're a museum goer, make sure that the British Museum is on your list. It's an awesome one. I would go back and look at the imagery he uses to metaphorically say what the urn is. It's an Attic shape. It's a historian. It's a. Go back and look at that language. That can't hurt you. All right, Raft of the Medusa. Who painted it? Jerry Coe. When did he live? He's also he's an exact contemporary of Keats. Okay, also a romantic artist, although painting in this case. And it's not about emotional truth, it's about sort of the grandness of nature. But there are truths in the painting. Where's he from?
Paris.
He did paint in Paris. Well done. He's French. Good. Is it a historical event?
Yes.
Is it accurately portrayed? Is part of it accurately portrayed? Some of it kind of maybe. You should know the parts that are right and the parts that aren't. So, for example, how many people are on the raft?
Picture or in the real thing?
Both?
15 alive. There's 20 in the painting, but 5 are dead.
Good. 5 are dead. Well done. 20 total, 5 are dead in the painting. In reality, all the dead had been thrown overboard for shark food.
So how many people are on it?
15. 15 survivors. In the painting, he added 5 dead bodies.
How many people were total on the Medusa at the beginning?
The whole ship, 186.
But there's one total in the painting, but 5 more.
Correct. Did it have a different title?
Yes.
Scene of Shipwreck.
Scene of Shipwreck. And was it well received?
No.
Not at the time.
It was not, in fact, except by, and this makes me think he's smarter than I thought he was in all the other histories I've read, except for Louis XVIII, the king, who theoretically his government was at fault for this and he was being criticized. Do you remember in the reading what his comment to Jerry Coe was? Barnes records it for you. It's a great quote. I hope it's true. I hope it's not just apocryphal and made up after the fact, because I'd like to think Louis XVIII was smart enough to say this out loud. It's the kind of thing that really, it's so smart. Anybody remember? He went to the painter and who was terrified that the king was going to hate it and said, "Sir, your shipwreck is certainly no disaster." I know. How smart is that, right? So, yeah, it was Louis XVIII. I would, if I were you, go back and look at the Barnes reading that we did together about the painting. And you remember I had underlined some stuff for you and an occasional note out to the side. Near the end, second to last, third to last page, there's a big long paragraph that I read to you in my meaningful voice one day, and it says purpose of art. I'd go back to that paragraph so that I had a better grasp of that. Plus, it's really so phenomenally well written that as you write your essays, it might be one to kind of pay some attention to. You know how when you're learning to do something like play the piano or an instrument or whatever, or sport, you emulate those who came before, and then once you're good enough, you kind of go your own way. Writing's the same way. If you want to be a good writer, emulate Julian Barnes for a while. Just a thought. Okay, then there's some questions on the film, on Rashomon. Who's the director? Akira Kurosawa. Good. Kurosawa. Kurosawa. Whose story is the most accurate?
We don't know.
We don't know. Yes. True. Why don't we know?
We're not meant to.
Because the author director in this case, chose not to tell us. Okay? You should remember visually and from story who tells which version of the story. That shows up a little bit. Again, just keeping you honest.
Wait, you mean
Like each version, the sex is consensual or not. The killing is a different killer. Some it's murder, some it's suicide, some it's fair fight. You should know whose version includes which version of that story.
the monk never had one?
The monk did not. Are you okay? Don't be sorry. I just want to make sure you're not dying, because that was an alarming sound. Okay, she's blushing and laughing. I guess it's going to be all right. What was the question over here?
It was just the monk didn't give us a story. He just
No,
saw them.
because the only witness is who?
Woodsman.
The woodsman. What does the monk see?
Them walking.
He just sees them walking by. That's right. So the only person who has a story, and the only person who never takes responsibility, remember everybody else wants responsibility for it, but the one person in the movie who doesn't take responsibility for anything ever is the monk. And I think that's a fascinating commentary.
Yeah, but the woodsman is never takes credit for taking the dagger.
He adopts the baby.
No, but he doesn't take credit for killing the dagger. Are you saying you're saying that the monk never does
In the
that?
end, he acknowledges I've done wrong and I'm ashamed and I'm going to fix it by adopting the baby, right? The monk never does anything wrong, but he also never does anything right. He just doesn't do anything. The one person who's not acting is the religious person who knows the good, whatever that is, who wants faith in humanity but is unable to create the faith in humanity. If I were writing something about Rashomon, that would seem significant to me. And since you might use it as evidence, you might include that.
Wait, that he wants faith in humanity, that he wants
Yeah, I mean, it's not,
but he doesn't.
it seems to me a reasonable interpretation of that movie that to hope for the good and then not do anything about it is worse. I mean, in a way, I think the monk is even worse than the guy who steals from the baby. At least I understand the guy who steals from the baby. I can deal with him because I know who he's going to be. The monk keeps saying good things and then never does anything about
He
it.
just sees him walk by, doesn't mean he knows they're getting murdered, or the guy's getting murdered, right?
No, but, you know, help the baby.
Oh, the baby.
Notice that
Yeah,
the baby
yeah.
continues
I
to
just
cry
thought
when
it
the
was
monk holds him.
in the story.
How many opportunities does he have? Like, he was gonna take the baby.
Yeah,
He's
this is
trying to
he's
take
going to take it.
responsibility.
No, he's going to leave the baby.
The monk?
Yeah, it's obvious that he
picks
is.
it up.
Huh?
At least he picks it up.
And it
kind of
continues to
brings it.
cry.
But that's what
It's
babies
called-
do.
It stops crying when the woodsman has it.
Okay, so
Nice.
the woodsman has probably
Because the
I
rain
agree with
stuff.
you.
Yeah, smell. Right, because Kate, right, because it
Babies are psychic.
Six.
Isn't that true that babies have like a sense of they know if they're
No, they don't have a
they
sense of right and
don't.
wrong. They have a sense of they have a sense of concern. It's like the opposite of what cats have. Cats have the I know you don't like cats, so there's a bunch of people in the room and I will jump on your lap because it will annoy you the most. Whereas everybody who wants the cat to come to them, the cat will turn its nose and walk away and go to the person who's allergic to them. Right? Babies have do you have that cat? Yeah.
Well, she had that cat. It's always allergic.
And see, there you go. Babies have the reverse sense. Babies sense when you care about them, but not what is. If what you think is care equates to the good, then yes, they have that sixth sense. Mostly babies just want food. Okay, we're moving on. Question? Are we going to talk about babies more? Because I'm done with that. Oh, okay, go ahead.
Well, I was just saying maybe the monk is.
Oh, we're not interpreting. We're moving on.
Okay.
Okay, we're moving on. Nix versus Hedden and Riggs versus Palmer. You need to be familiar with both. Nix. Tomato is a
Vegetable. Legally or botanically?
Ah, that's the right question. Okay, according to the court case, it's a vegetable. Why?
Because we eat it like a vegetable. We don't eat it with dessert.
That's how most people think of it. It's